This is Contemplative at Home, and you are so very warmly welcome here. As we turn towards prayer, I invite you to take a moment to check in with your body. You might want to just quickly scan your body from head to toe and noticing any sensations, or you might want to stretch a little bit. And I invite you to settle into a position that will help you to be attentive and restful as we move towards prayer. So I invite you to bring your awareness to all the points of contact that your body is making with the supports beneath you. You might want to invite some heaviness, some sinking into the ground beneath you, and maybe you imagine here that you are being held in the generous and loving arms of God. As you bring your awareness to your breath, I also want to invite you to find some lift, some rise, maybe up through the spine, maybe just up through the front of the body. Rising up as you are filled with this love, with this support beneath you. So as you continue to nestle in to this prayer space mentally and physically, just notice what you're bringing. Notice what your body is like, what your energy is like, your thoughts and feelings are like just now. Our good Lord invites you to come just as you are. There is room in God's mercy for all of you and all of your story, no matter what that is. So come and entrust yourself to the one who accepts you fully just as you are. I invite you to keep your awareness with your breath here, just gently feeling the body expand and contract. And I invite you to know in your deepest knowing that you are in God's presence in this very moment. Perhaps you can imagine God gazing at you as you return God's gaze of love. And now I'm going to invite you to travel in your imagination to first century Palestine. It is coming time for one of the great festivals, Passover, when all the Jews from all the area travel on foot to Jerusalem to celebrate together. Jesus has very recently raised Lazarus from the dead, and the interest, the attraction to him is growing and growing and growing. And the authorities have become more concerned again about this interest in Jesus, about the instability they fear this interest will bring. People are beginning to wonder if Jesus will come to Jerusalem for the Passover, saying, "Surely he won't," because the chief priests and the Pharisees have given orders that anyone who knows where Jesus is to let them know so that they might arrest him. Now, just a little ways outside the city of Jerusalem, in the town of Bethany, in a relatively wealthy and established household, the dear friends of Jesus, Martha and Mary and Lazarus, know that in fact, Jesus is on his way. He is coming to Jerusalem for the Passover. And this night, 6 nights before the Passover, Jesus and his closest friends will come to stay with them. We take a moment to imagine this lovely house and to imagine the excitement and preparation for the arrival of Jesus and his friends. We connect with Martha, the head of the household, who has such great love for Jesus and such a refined and well-established control of all that happens in her house. You might see her with her staff preparing the meal for this evening, once again preparing rooms and places for all to sleep. We might imagine Lazarus preparing to see his dear friend, to whom he literally owes his life. And we might pause for a moment with Mary. Let's see her in her contemplation, thinking on Jesus, the deep movements of her heart, in her love for him, in her knowledge that he is coming now to his own certain arrest and his uncertain future. And now, the guests have arrived. They have come into the house. Their shoes have been removed and their feet have been washed by servants. They have settled their belongings and they are sitting now around the low table, probably on the floor, reclined on cushions. Jesus, Lazarus, and the other close friends of Jesus, enjoying this rich and varied meal that Martha and her servants are bringing in. You might see the room lit by candlelight. You might see the simple finery on the table. You might see the cushions on which they recline. You might notice faces, clothes, or you might just imagine the energy in the room between these people who are traveling together, who love each other so dearly, and who know to varying degrees what this moment might mean. Now we see Mary coming into the room, all heart, all, all devotion. She carries her pound of pure nard, and she comes and sits beside Jesus. Jesus turns to her, looking at her deeply and fully and lovingly as she anoints his feet with this precious perfume and wipes it with her own hair. The space fills with the fragrance of the nard. And now from across the table, Judas Iscariot, who will shortly be betraying Jesus, says, "Why was this perfume not sold for 300 denarii and the money given to the poor?" He says this not because he cares about the poor, as Jesus does, but because he keeps the common purse. And John tells us in his gospel, because he lifts from the purse for his own gain. Jesus replies, "Leave her alone. She bought this perfume so that she might keep it for the day of my burial. You always have the poor with you. You do not always have me." And now, outside of the house, people are catching wind that Jesus has indeed arrived, and people start coming to Bethany, not only because Jesus is there, but also Lazarus, the one who was raised from the tomb, and they all want to see. They want to see. They want to see. And so too the chief priests catch wind of this arrival, of this flurry of interest. And they plan as well to put Lazarus to death, because it is on account of Lazarus that so many are believing in Jesus. I'm going to read the text now one time through. I invite you to allow yourself to be present to it vividly in your spirit, in your mind's eye, in your heart's eye. I invite you to notice what you see and what you feel and what you perceive. Now, the chief priests and the Pharisees had given orders that anyone who knew where Jesus was should let them know, so that they might arrest him. Six days before the Passover, Jesus came to Bethany, the home of Lazarus, whom he had raised from the dead. There, they gave a dinner for him. Martha served, and Lazarus was one of those at the table with him. Mary took a pound of costly perfume made of pure nard, anointed Jesus' feet, and wiped them with her hair. The house was filled with the fragrance of the perfume. But Judas Iscariot, one of his disciples, the one who was about to betray him, said, "Why was this perfume not sold for 300 denarii and the money given to the poor?" He said this not because he cared about the poor, but because he was a thief. He kept the common purse, and he used to steal what was put into it. Jesus said, "Leave her alone. She bought it so that she might keep it for the day of my burial. You always have the poor with you, but you do not always have me." When the great crowd of the Jews learned that he was there, they came, not only because of Jesus, but also to see Lazarus, whom he has raised from the dead. So the chief priests planned to put Lazarus to death as well, since it was on account of him that many of the Jews were deserting and were believing in Jesus. So I invite you to come back to this scene in your mind's eye and to imagine that you are somehow there as well. Where do you see yourself? Are you seated at the table with Jesus taking food? Have you prepared the food? Are you serving with Martha? Or do you, like Mary, wish to pour something out on Jesus' feet, to anoint him with your costliest gifts, and mingle your own hair and body with the scent that will accompany him to his death? I invite you to come into this scene gently, to allow yourself to be here as genuinely as you are able. And then to watch in your mind's eye as this all plays out again, noticing when Jesus turns to you and what the dialogue between yourself and Jesus is. I'm going to leave you with 3 minutes of silence here to let you engage with this scene for yourself. As always, I invite you to pray as you can and not as you can't. In this season of Lent, may the Christ of the Gospels accompany you as you accompany him. May you know in your days deep companionship and communion with him and his profound heart of love. In the name of Christ. Amen. Amen, dear one, and blessings. I'm always so deeply, deeply grateful that you choose to share your prayer space with me. What a humbling honor it is for me to be here. If this work plays such a role in your life that you would like to consider supporting me financially, which in turn helps me to support my family, I would be amazed and honored. You can come on over to contemplativeathome.com/support to join the group of monthly donors and find out a little bit more about the perks associated with supporting me in that way. Regardless, bless you, bless you, bless you. Amen.